Hey friends, Tashin here. There's a rant that I give people at least once a month at this point that I've tweeted about before, but I want to say it verbally so that people can hear it and it can benefit people. And it's about writing. I really care about writing. I care a lot about writing, and writing's been a big part of my own vow and my own work for so long. I've loved reading books my whole life, and basically as soon as I could, I started writing, and I wrote essays and stories and blog posts and eventually, chapters of books, and I've self-published a huge number of books at this point. And I love writing. It's always been part of my work and my life. And, at one point I was a writing assistant in college, and I did some tutoring with writing. And then later on, I made an online course about writing. And that's actually been folded into the digital productivity coach. It's one of the advanced topics in the digital productivity coach. So if that's of interest to you, if you like what I'm saying here, then you can go check that out. But the thing I want to talk about today with writing is like why writing is hard for people. And it can be hard for a lot of different reasons, but in general, especially with nonfiction writing, I'm still figuring out fiction writing. That's a whole other topic. But especially with nonfiction writing, the main problem that I see, which takes a lot of different forms, but one larger form, is that people are conflating different stages of writing and trying to do them all at the same time or do them out of order. And I think that if you understand that there are different stages which require different skills and even a different state of mind, then you can kind of recognize which stage you're in, which stage a specific piece is in, and what to do about it. You can have a better sense of what to do if you're like, oh, this is what the stage is. And they're different skills. You just need different things at these different stages. So, one of the things I've done recently in the last month or so is revise and improve my standard operating procedure for my blog. I've written a lot of blog posts, more than 100 on my current iteration of my blog. And I've gotten pretty good at it. And I've had an SOP for a while for my blog, which is a standard operating procedure, is fancy checklist of like, if we're writing a blog post, we do this, then this, then this, then this. And one of the key components of my blog is that there's discrete stages that any given blog post goes through. And for me, I like to think my blog posts are pretty good. There's a lot of different kinds of things that I've written, but one of the main types is what I call an informational blog post, like my post about John Boyd, or my post about biomotive or Burbea. Like, these are some really good examples of these where it's like my take on the introduction to a specific topic that I've gotten interested in, leaving the breadcrumbs that I wish I had found on that topic. And, other people tend to think these blog posts are pretty good too. I have really good SEO, not because I've put effort into SEO, but just because I've posted good, high quality stuff over the years that's like pretty good about specific topics, and all the things are linked to each other. I love hyperlinks, love linking to different things I've written from other things I've written. It's like building a corpus over time. And so I think that my blog posts are as good as they are. They're not amazing. They're not the best thing in the world. There's certainly better writing out there, but like there's a very high waterline of quality with my blog posts. And I can just guarantee that it's going to hit at least that quality because I go through this process and I go through these stages. And there's specific discrete stages that my writing goes through, the non-fiction writing that I do goes through, especially the blog posts, that is just tried and true. And I go through these stages, and I want to talk about what those stages are so that you can learn them and internalize them. One of the things that I do is just that I have a dashboard. I use Notion personally, but it's like tracking which pieces are at which stage, and having that visual representation is so helpful. And I have a writing dashboard actually that you can buy. I think it's like $10 or something on Gumroad, but that's been so helpful to me to have these stages and a way of tracking that and a way of visually representing it. And so what are these stages? The first one is just having it as an idea, ideation, where it's like, yep, I might write something about that one day. Okay, so you write that down. That's an idea. That's a whole category. I don't know, probably like 40 things as ideas right now. And then the next stage is what I call gathering notes and theses and questions, right? And this is just having a document and you start gathering things about it and you put them in there. It's like, oh, here's my notes. And I think I might say something about this, or I wrote a tweet about this. So you copy it in there, or you have some kind of thesis, right? That's like a statement, like meditation is good. Okay, that's a boring thesis, but that's an example of a thesis. Or you might have a question like, why is meditation good, right? That would be a question. And then you put that in there and you don't even order it yet. You're just like making a running list of any notes that you have, any statements or theses that you know that you're going to want to make, or any questions that you have, you write them down. And you write them down as they come to you, when they come to you. And that's important, that you capture them when they're alive for you. And then the next stage is outlining. So you look at the notes that you've gathered. They feel like, oh, yep, I've gathered pretty much everything I'm going to gather for this post. Okay, it's time to make an outline. And so you organize what you have into some kind of logical order. And, I have a standard outline that my informational blog posts tend to take, but different pieces call for different things. And so you sort of make an organization, and that's up to you what that looks like, but you make some kind of an outline. And often a simple one does it just fine. And then after that, you do a first draft and you take a pass at writing the thing. And if you've already done these steps where you've had the idea for a while and you've gathered your notes about it and you've ordered them, then it's actually pretty simple to just write it out, like at each bullet point, like, this is what I think about this. This is what I think about this. Like, I couldn't write a blog post right now about quantum physics or, I don't know, something else that I don't really know about. But if it's something that I already know about and have thoughts about and have opinions about, like, I already know what I think about those things. And so it's just a matter of saying them, especially for nonfiction writing, right? Like, I like my hometown. It was a pretty hometown. It was a middle-class hometown. I moved there when I was 5 or whatever. You just say those one by one, and you can even take them out of order. It doesn't matter if you write them in the exact order of the outline. You still have the outline and the sort of structure of the thing, but you can often I'll just dip in if I have 5 or 10 minutes and I'll write a paragraph or a passage that I know what I think about it and it's available and I just write it down. Great, move on. So then once I have a first draft, then I share it with people who are interested in the ideas, who I've maybe talked to about it or respect their opinion about it or whatever, and I ask for content feedback. Okay, this is really important because this is not yet like line edits or, editorial feedback, but just like, what do you think about the content of this? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Am I missing anything? Do you like this? Is it boring? Like that kind of feedback, not like, oh, this sentence is messed up or, oh, your grammar here is wrong or whatever. I'm just asking for content feedback. And so I wait a little while. I send it out to these people and wait a little while, and they make, typically I like Google Docs, so people make comments on the Google Doc and they're like, oh, this is good, but what about this? Or you're missing this whole thing, or, oh, I don't agree with this, or you're, whatever it is, or maybe you want to go read that book. And I kind of digest that. And when I'm ready, then I do a second pass, right? And it's to integrate the content feedback. And usually the level or quality of the piece jumps up quite a bit between the first and the second draft, where it's like, oh, it was okay before, but now it's like getting pretty good because I've considered other perspectives and I've realized, oh, I was missing whole passages. That's kind of why my blog posts tend to be long, right? Because I'm like, oh, I need to add a whole section about this that I didn't even think about to start with. So then I do a second edit that's often pretty tactical and like specific to specific parts of the piece. And then I send it out again and I ask for editing feedback at this point. Like, it's starting to be pretty polished. Do you have any editing feedback? Anything I should improve? And then when I get enough comments back, and some of them are editing feedback or further content feedback, then I integrate those. And I feel pretty good about it at this point. Like, yep, this is pretty ready to go. So I do a final edit where I integrate any last comments that have been made. I polish it, I sort of reread it on my own. And like, yep, this seems good enough for now. And then I publish it, which is putting it out of Google Docs and into my WordPress or whatever it is. And then finally there's one more stage, which is distributing it, which is basically marketing. And I want people to read my writing, and I want it to help the people that it can help. And so often I have some sort of plan for, who am I going to send this to? What are some communities that would find this valuable or whatever? But there's a final distribution stage, even after you hit publish, of like doing your best to help the piece find its audience and its readers. And I have some best practices for that. But those are the stages of having an idea, gathering notes, doing an outline, doing a first draft, asking for content feedback, doing a second draft, asking for editing feedback, doing a final polish, publishing, and distributing. And those are meaningfully different stages that if you try to do them all at once or out of sequence, then you're going to have problems. And like, what's the biggest problem that people tend to have with writing? Allegedly, it's been a while since I experienced this myself, but they'll like be staring at a blank page and they're like, I don't know what to write. Well, if you have a list of ideas of things you want to write about, and you've been gathering notes about what you think about that over time, then when you're ready to write a piece, you're not going to have a blank page, because you're going to have thought about this for a while, and you already have, then you make an outline. I might have missed that when I said the stages, but like, you've got an outline even. It's not just your notes. It's all the notes organized into a sensible outline. And that's just so much easier than staring at a blank page, because it's a topic that you have thoughts about, and you have an outline. It's organized. It's something you already know what you think about it. So I don't know, it's almost mechanical at this point for me. Like with nonfiction writing, if I'm going to write a piece, I just know what the process is. It's basically like start a Google Doc as a placeholder for that thing, and then just take it through the stages in whatever time or length that it needs. And, it just is going to happen. It's almost like a commitment to the future. Like, I am going to make this piece of writing if I don't die. And of course, some pieces you're like, I don't actually enjoy this anymore, or I don't want to anymore, or whatever. Your priorities change. There's a lot more I could say about that. But basically, if I want to finish a piece, I just take it through these steps one at a time. And because I've done it so many times, I'm very familiar with it. But I just know, I'm going to end up writing that piece. And there's a lot of writing to be done. I have a lot of things to say and a lot of things to share. And it matters to me that I put as much out as I can about the things that I want to write about. And so that's my process. And I think this is the sort of root problem that most people have with writing. It probably subjectively presents a little bit different, but it's that they're conflating different stages of writing and trying to do them all at the same time, or trying to do them out of order. And my contention would be, if you do these stages in the right order, especially for nonfiction writing, then you're not going to be staring at a blank page, or you're not going to end up making pieces that you're not proud of. And of course, everybody has to adapt their writing process to themselves. I'm sure what works for you will be different than what works for me. But yeah, this is a pretty good set of sane defaults that have worked for me. And that's why I tell people about them. And I hope that they help you. If there's anything that this makes you reflect on about your own writing process, I'd love to hear it. And I hope you're well. Sending you love.